Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The 1984 1-cent coin holds a unique position in the long-running history of the United States penny series. Though it may seem like an ordinary piece of circulating currency at first glance, collectors, historians, and numismatists have long recognized that the coins produced in this year carry important insights into the evolution of the Lincoln cent, the production methods of the U.S. Mint, and the subtle design changes that have made certain examples extremely sought after in today's market. Understanding the 1984 1-cent coin means not only looking at the physical details of the coin itself but also considering the economic backdrop of the time, the technological improvements being implemented at the mint, and the collecting trends that brought increased attention to minor varieties and errors. The obverse of the 1984 1-cent coin continues the long-standing tradition of honoring President Abraham Lincoln. Since 1909, the Lincoln cent has carried his portrait, originally designed by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. By the 1980s, Brenner's design had already been in use for 75 years, and while it had undergone small refinements over the decades, the essential image remained consistent. The 1984 issue displays a right-facing bust of Lincoln, wearing his characteristic coat and bow tie, with the word Liberty to the left and the motto "In God We Trust" above. To the right side of Lincoln's bust is the date 1984, and below the date is the mint mark when applicable. On the reverse of the coin, the 1984 1-cent still features the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat ears reverse. The memorial design was created by Frank Gasparo, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. For the 1984 issue, the memorial reverse shows the stately neoclassical monument in fine detail, with the words United States of America arched across the top, the motto E pluribus unum centered above the memorial, and the denomination 1 cent positioned along the bottom. A sharp-eyed observer will note that within the open central chamber of the memorial, one can see a tiny representation of the statue of Lincoln, an often overlooked but deliberate detail added by Gasparo. The composition of the 1984 1-cent coin reflects the transition the U.S. Mint had recently made away from its long use of bronze. Until 1982, Lincoln cents were made primarily of a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. However, due to rising copper prices and the increasing cost of raw materials, the Mint made the decision in 1982 to switch to a more cost-effective composition. Starting midway through that year and continuing into subsequent issues such as the 1984 cent, the standard became a copper-plated zinc planchet. These coins are produced with a core of 99.2% zinc and a thin plating of pure copper, bringing the overall appearance closer to the traditional red color of copper coins while drastically reducing production costs. Each coin has a total weight of 2.5 grams, a diameter of 19 millimeters, and a plain edge. For collectors today, the composition change is particularly important because it created subtle differences in appearance and wear patterns. Copper-plated zinc cents tend to show issues like plating bubbles, rough spots, or small exposed areas where zinc corrosion can eventually appear. In contrast, the earlier bronze cents were more durable and often developed a smooth, even toning. The 1984 cent, being firmly within the era of copper-plated zinc, is subject to these typical issues, and examples preserved in pristine condition are less common than one might initially assume. The 1984 cent was struck at multiple mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced coins with distinct purposes and mint marks, and the total mintage figures provide valuable context. The Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not use a mint mark, produced the bulk of circulation strikes, numbering well into the billions. The Denver Mint, identified by its D mint mark beneath the date, also contributed an enormous output of circulating cents. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint, by the 1980s, had largely shifted its focus to proof coinage. Proof 1984 cents were struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, producing mirror-like surfaces and sharp details that were intended for collectors rather than for circulation. These proof coins carry the S mint mark, and they are far scarcer than their Philadelphia and Denver counterparts. Perhaps the most famous and highly sought-after feature of the 1984 cent is the variety known as the 1984 doubled die obverse. In this variety, the doubling is most visible on Lincoln's ear, leading many collectors to refer to it as the double ear cent. Under magnification, it appears as though Lincoln has a second earlobe, distinctly separated from the first. This variety is the result of a misalignment during the die creation process, when the working hub impressed the design elements onto the working die more than once in slightly different positions. While many double die scents exist across different years, the 1984 double die is especially notable for its clear and dramatic extra ear, which can be easily recognized even without magnification in some cases. The 1984 double die obverse quickly became a favorite among variety collectors. As more examples were discovered, it gained attention in numismatic publications, price guides, and auction listings. Today, the double-ear variety commands a substantial premium compared to regular 1984 cents, with values depending heavily on condition. In circulated grades, it may sell for modest amounts, but in mint state, especially with strong red color and minimal spots, the value can rise significantly, sometimes into the hundreds of dollars. High-grade certified specimens are particularly prized because they combine rarity with eye appeal. Beyond the double die variety, 1984 cents also appear with a range of minor errors and production anomalies that collectors pursue. These can include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the planchet was not properly aligned with the dies. Broad strikes, where the collar failed to contain the expanding metal. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a mishap during blank cutting, and die cracks or cuds, which result from stress fractures in the die transferring irregular raised lines or blobs of metal onto the struck coin. While these errors are relatively scarce compared to the billions of normal coins struck, they are popular in the error collecting community because they highlight the human and mechanical elements involved in coin production. Studying the 1984 1-cent coin also offers a fascinating glimpse into the broader context of U.S. coinage during the 1980s. This was a decade of significant changes at the mint, including the adoption of improved die-making technologies, the expansion of the proof coin program, and growing interest among the general public in coin collecting as a hobby. Television shows, mail-order businesses, and coin shops brought attention to varieties and mint errors, leading many casual collectors to search their pocket change for interesting finds. The 1984 double-ear cent became one of the more famous targets of these searches, with hobbyists eagerly examining every penny they encountered. Economically, the 1980s were marked by fluctuating inflation, changes in interest rates, and debates over the cost-effectiveness of producing low-denomination coins. Even then, some questioned the practicality of continuing to strike 1-cent coins when their purchasing power had diminished so greatly. Nonetheless, the Lincoln cent remained an American tradition, and its production continued without interruption. The 1984 issue is therefore both a practical piece of circulating money and a cultural artifact reflecting the persistence of long-standing coinage customs. In terms of survival rates, billions of 1984 cents remain in existence, many still circulating today. However, as with most modern coinage, condition is the key factor in determining collectability and value. Circulated examples are extremely common and generally worth only their face value. Uncirculated rolls or bags can still be found, though much of the original mint luster has often faded or spotted over the decades. Coins graded at the top levels, such as Mint State 67 or 68 by major grading services, are rare and command substantial premiums. For proof coins, the highest grades, particularly those designated as Deep Cameo or Ultra Cameo, are the most desirable. The study of the 1984 1-cent coin becomes richer when one considers the mintage figures in greater detail. At the Philadelphia Mint, the production of 1-cent coins in 1984 exceeded 8.1 billion pieces. This enormous number reflects both the immense demand for circulating pennies in the United States and the efficiency of the minting equipment in operation at the time. Denver, always a major contributor to cent production, struck approximately 5.6 billion coins in 1984, also using copper-plated zinc planchets. Combined, these two mints were responsible for producing nearly 14 billion cents in that single year, an almost unimaginable quantity of small copper-colored coins entering the channels of commerce. The San Francisco Mint, by contrast, struck roughly 3.2 million proof cents in 1984. Proof coins differ fundamentally from regular circulation strikes not only in their finish but also in their purpose. Each proof cent was carefully manufactured for collectors, using specially polished dies that imparted mirror-like fields and frosted devices. The blanks, too, were prepared to higher standards, free from the abrasions and marks common on circulation planchets. Proof coins were struck multiple times with greater pressure to ensure every detail appeared crisp and complete. These 1984 proof cents were then packaged in official proof sets and sold directly to collectors through the U.S. Mint. The disparity in mintage figures illustrates the dual nature of the Lincoln cent in 1984. On one hand, billions of coins struck for everyday use, destined to be quickly worn and forgotten in circulation. On the other, a few million specially produced proofs meant to be preserved in pristine condition by collectors. This duality underscores the challenge faced by those seeking to find truly exceptional examples of circulation strikes. With so many billions produced, the quality varied considerably. Weak strikes, spots, and scratches are common, and coins with blazing red luster, fully struck details, and immaculate surfaces are the exceptions that attract the attention of grading services and collectors alike. The transition to zinc-based planchets also added complexity to the survival of high-quality specimens. Unlike the earlier bronze cents, which were relatively sturdy, the thin copper plating of the zinc core is more susceptible to damage. Even minor environmental exposure can lead to unattractive spots, discoloration, or bubbles beneath the surface. Collectors today often remark on how difficult it is to find 1984 cents without some form of spotting or plating anomaly, even when taken directly from original rolls. This factor has elevated the status of the finest known coins, since they represent a level of preservation not typical for the issue. The 1984 doubled die obverse variety deserves special emphasis because of its fame within numismatics. Among all Lincoln cent doubled dies, a few stand out as especially dramatic or collectible, and the 1984 double ear ranks among them. Its appeal lies in both its clarity and its accessibility. Unlike some double dies where the doubling is faint or requires magnification to confirm, the 1984 double ear shows such strong separation on Lincoln's earlobe that even casual hobbyists often notice it without specialized tools. This obviousness has helped the variety achieve broader recognition outside the dedicated community of variety specialists. The origins of the 1984 double die obverse stem from the die creation process. During the 1980s, working dies were still being made by transferring impressions from a master hub. If alignment errors occurred during multiple impressions, certain parts of the design could show duplication. In this case, the misalignment manifested on the ear, producing the illusion of a second lobe. While the rest of the design appears normal, the doubled ear is so distinctive that it became a hallmark of the ear's coinage. Collectors have reported various die states of the doubled die obverse. In earlier die states, the doubling is crisp and sharply defined, while later states sometimes show die where that softens the appearance of the extra ear. This creates further complexity in the market, as buyers and sellers may differentiate between stronger and weaker examples. Some collectors aim to acquire only the clearest examples, while others enjoy the challenge of tracking down multiple die states. In terms of value, the 1984 double die commands premiums across all grades. In circulated condition, the coin may sell for modest amounts, often between several dollars and several tens of dollars, depending on eye appeal. In uncirculated condition, however, the values rise substantially. Coins graded mint state 64 or 65 red can fetch strong prices, and those graded mint state 66 red or higher are scarce and bring significant premiums. The finest known examples, particularly those certified at the top levels by services such as PCGS or NGC, are highly prized and can sell for hundreds or even over $1,000 at auction. The rarity of such top-grade coins is compounded by the general difficulty of preserving zinc-based cents without spotting or discoloration. Another area of interest for collectors is the study of 1984 cent errors beyond the famous double die. Off-center strikes are among the most dramatic, where the coin's design appears shifted away from the center, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed. The degree of off-centering determines the value, with 10 to 20% off-centers being common and affordable, while extreme 50% off-centers, especially those that still show a complete date and mint mark, can be quite rare and valuable. Broad strikes, caused by the failure of the collar die to contain the expanding metal, result in coins that are larger in diameter with design elements spread outward. These too are popular among error enthusiasts. Die cracks and cuds also appear on some 1984 cents, evidence of the stress endured by dies striking billions of coins. A die crack is a raised line on the coin, formed when a fracture develops on the die's surface. A cud, by contrast, occurs when a larger piece of the die breaks off near the rim, leaving a blank raised area on the coin where design details should be. Collectors often appreciate these irregularities as physical records of the minting process, capturing the imperfections of machinery in action. Clipped planchet errors, where the edge of the coin shows a curved or straight section missing, result from misfeeds during the blanking process. These errors are particularly interesting when they involve double or triple clips, producing highly unusual shapes. Other planchet-related errors include incomplete plating, in which the zinc core is visible through thin spots in the copper coating, or plating blisters, where trapped gases during production cause small bubbles to appear on the surface. While minor examples of these plating issues are common, dramatic cases can be collectible in their own right. The role of the 1984 cent within the larger Lincoln series is also important to consider. By the mid-1980s, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for 25 years, and collectors were beginning to anticipate possible changes in design. Although the memorial would remain in place until 2008, the sense of continuity was already remarkable, as very few other U.S. coin designs had endured for so long without major alteration. The obverse, featuring Lincoln's portrait, had surpassed its 75th anniversary by 1984, further cementing its place as one of the most enduring coin designs in American history. This longevity, combined with the massive mintages, might suggest that individual issues such as the 1984 cent hold little distinction. Yet it is precisely because of the high output and ubiquity of these coins that standout varieties and condition rarities become so significant. Among billions of ordinary pieces, the double die obverse, the rare high-grade survivors, and the distinctive errors stand out as notable treasures. The cultural environment of the United States in 1984 also provides an interesting backdrop for understanding the 1-cent coin of that year. The mid-1980s were a time of technological change, economic transition, and evolving consumer habits. Prices were rising compared to earlier decades, and the purchasing power of the penny had continued to decline. Yet despite debates about eliminating the denomination, the 1-cent coin remained deeply embedded in American commerce and daily life. For many Americans, handling pennies was still a routine experience, whether receiving change at a store, filling a piggy bank, or rolling coins for deposit. The ubiquity of the 1984 cent reflects not only the mint's production choices but also the cultural persistence of small denomination coins in the economy. For younger collectors in the 1980s, the Lincoln cent often served as the gateway to the hobby. Coin boards, folders, and albums marketed to children and beginners encouraged the search for dates and mint marks. The discovery of a 1984 double die in circulation could transform an ordinary penny hunt into a thrilling experience. Even today, many collectors fondly recall their first encounter with such a variety, sparking a lifelong passion for numismatics. The accessibility of cents, combined with the potential for finding something unusual, made them one of the most democratic aspects of coin collecting, open to anyone willing to examine pocket change closely.